priest of the demons, Sanda and Amarka, pacified him. With very mild voices and affectionate words, they inquired from him as follows. Purport. Sanda and Amarka, the priest of the demons, were eager to know from Prahlad Maharaj who the Vaishnavas were that came to instruct him in Krishna consciousness. Their purpose was to discover the names of these Vaishnavas. In the beginning, they did not threaten the boy because when threatened, he might not identify the real culprits. Therefore, they very mildly and peacefully inquired as follows. Dear son Prahlad, all peace and good fortune unto you. Kindly do not speak lies. Just reply with the truth. These boys, you see, are not like you, for they do not speak in the deviant way. How have you learned these instructions? How has your intelligence been spoiled in this way? Purport. Prahlad Maharaj was still a boy, and therefore his teachers thought that if they pacified the little boy, he would immediately speak the truth, revealing the secret of how the Vaishnavas came there to teach him lessons in devotional service. It was surprising, of course, that in the same school the other boys of the Daityas were not polluted. Only Prahlad Maharaj was supposedly polluted by the instructions of the Vaishnavas. The main duty of the teachers was to inquire who those Vaishnavas were that came to teach Prahlad and spoil his intelligence. Text number 10. O best of your family, has this pollution of your intelligence been brought about by you or by the enemies? We are all your teachers and are very eager to hear about this. Please tell us the truth. Purport. Prahlad Maharaj's teachers were astonished that a small boy could speak such exalted Vaishnava philosophy. Therefore, they inquired about the Vaishnavas who stiltedly taught it to him in order that these Vaishnavas might be arrested and killed in the presence of Prahlad's father, Hiranyakashipu. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmitamina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Wow, it's so exciting. This story is so exciting. So we are at this point where Prahlad Maharaj was brought to his father just a few verses before, and the father was so excited to see his boy and examine what he has learned at school. And he asked Prahlad Maharaj to share something, what he learned the best, what he thinks is the most important to share. And of course, Prahlad Maharaj disappointed him quite badly because he, instead of talking about politics and enemies and economics, he basically was talking straight Krishna consciousness. So now Prahlad Maharaj is back into school, and the teacher's job is now discover what has happened. How come that Prahlad Maharaj's mind and intelligence was polluted, and how to fix him. So that's very interesting that their attitude is that they need to fix Prahlad Maharaj, whereas actually he is fixed. It's the other party that needs to be fixed. So there's this verse in Bhagavad Gita 2:69 when Krishna says that I will quote, "What is night for all beings?" I think this is maybe not. Can I get Bhagavad Gita, please? Thank you. Yeah, I was getting the book. Yeah, so 269. Yeah, so Krishna says, what is night for all beings is the time of awakening for the self-controlled. And the time of awakening for all beings is night for those, for the introspective sage. And in purport, Srila Prabhupada mentioned there are two classes of intelligent men, and no doubt, and undoubtedly, Hiranyakashipu was intelligent, because without intelligence, of course, he had material intelligence, he would not be able to accomplish what he has accomplished. It required some brain. So as was Sanda and Amarka, they had to have some intelligence in order to be teachers at school, right? But one is intelligent in material activities for sense gratification, and the other is introspective and awake for the cultivation of self-realization. Activities of the introspective sage or thoughtful man are night for person materially absorbed. Materialistic persons remain asleep in such a night due to the ignorance of self-realization. The introspective sage remains alert in the night of the materialistic man. The sage feels transcendental pleasure in the gradual advancement of spiritual culture, whereas the man in material activities begin being asleep to self-realization, dreams of variety of sense pleasure, feeling sometimes happy and sometimes distressed in his sleeping condition. And that we will see manifested pretty soon as this amazing pastimes develops, when Hiranyakashipu would be put in a lot of anxiety. I mean, he's always in an anxiety to one level or another because of Vishnu being there and being his enemy, but this will accelerate in the, as we continue the story. So yes, distress sometimes feels happy and sometimes distress in his sleeping condition. The introspective man is always indifferent to materialistic happiness and distress. He goes on with his self-realization activities undisturbed by material reaction. Yes, so this is very interesting point, how the demons and the teachers and Hiranyakashipu, they feel the strong need of fixing Prahlad Maharaj to make him into a materialistic person. And they have this vision that he is a very innocent boy. And by really speaking sweet words, just like, the children can be, if we speak sweet words or give them something to bribe them, like some sweets on a new toy, then they were basically, they don't have this yet discrimination, or I would say conditioning to be manipulative. So much of some kids can be too, in order to achieve what they want, but generally they would speak the truth. So this is the approach, like, let's please, just don't worry, just tell the truth. You are so good. You are all peace and good fortune to you. You are the best of your family, and tell us the truth so we can actually identify who those Vaishnavas that somehow sneak into the school, or however you have met them. We need the names so we can kill them. So this is a very horrible demoniac properties. Now they don't know, that there were no Vaishnavas that sneak into the school. Obviously, Prahlad Maharaj, he learned everything already in the womb from Narada Muni. He received those amazing teachings from his spiritual master. So we can see that the Prahlad Maharaj, he actually sees reality. He sees everything as it is. He knows that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, that we are his servant, and our duty is to surrender to Krishna and serve Krishna, and also give up those material activities and material ambitions. Whereas the other party, they see differently. They see, no, this is not the goal of life. The goal of life is to get as much as possible of sense gratification by any cost. This is the goal of life. So now, who is right? Of course, we know who is right. Prahlad Maharaj is right. But when I was reflecting on this verse, I was thinking, like, how is it in our own lives? Like, we often find ourselves in situation or in a mindset that we think that how we perceive everything around us, this is as it is. This is as it is. And when we, before Krishna consciousness, we also were in that same boat, maybe to not such a gross extreme like we are reading in this pastimes right now, but we also were in the consciousness that, you know, being happy and pursuing sense gratification and acquiring things, or whatever form that would means, some actually form of sense gratification would be actually to give up a lot of things and, you know, live like a renounce life, but that would give ultimately the goal of that would give us pleasure. So when we even now, we often may find ourselves in a situation that we make judgments, we have strong opinions about something based on our own perception. But this perception is limited, is based on our purification, on the wisdom and knowledge and experiences. So it's not the ultimate truth. And I'm pretty sure that each of you have an experience that when you were perceiving some situation in a certain way, that with purification of Krishna consciousness and knowledge, suddenly you said, no, this wasn't right. This wasn't true. This wasn't true. This was like a partial truth, that actually things looks different from a spiritual perspective. So that's why we say this, Omagyanati Mirandasya, that our spiritual master, he basically turns dark into light. It's like a switch. So also spiritual life, Krishna consciousness, it's this switch that allows us to see the light, to see everything in the real perspective. Just like at night, when there is no light, we may imagine seeing some things which are not there. I remember one time we went, that was many years ago, we went to Los Angeles. We were in Las Vegas at the time, and we took a whole bunch of devotees and we went to Los Angeles. I don't remember if that was Rath Yatra. Maybe that was Rath Yatra, but I remember our Guru Maharaj was also there, and he was also giving some program like late in the evening. So my devotees wanted, my husband said we should go back because if we stay for the program, it will be very late, and it's like 4-hour drive from LA to Las Vegas. And it would be dark, and it's always much more challenging to drive at night. And everybody was already tired. It was such a busy and packed day. But me being so attached to every minute of personal association I could get of my Guru Maharaj, I convinced everyone to stay. And I said, I will drive. I would drive back. You can just, we had this bag, like 10 passenger, 15 passenger van we rented for this adventure. So anyhow, so we stayed for the program. And of course, it was so much nectar. But then it ended late. I don't know if it was 8 or 9, but it was dark already. So we were driving, and the devotees were so relaxed, like in the back, I could see them in the rear view mirror, like, resting, and everybody basically fell asleep. And I was the only one trying to stay awake. But I was also so tired. I was so tired like everyone else, but I had to like stay awake. And I remember driving, and it's pretty boring when you drive from LA to Las Vegas. It's just desert. So even in the daytime, there's not much to see. What to speak about night? That you are not passing through any cities or villages where there are lights. Basically, you just go through this darkness for at least a couple of hours before you see, after you leave LA, and then you start to see some Vegas. So I remember because of being so tired, I actually could see some things in front of me, like because it was so dark. And so we were driving, and there was this like a bridge or something we have to pass over. So I don't know, somehow I thought the bridge is like not high enough, and we were like, I would just crash into it, or sometimes there was no bridge, but somehow I could see it. So basically, because of being so tired, I had this like I didn't tell devotees, of course, about this. They would probably, but I safely, Krishna's mercy, brought them back to Las Vegas. But that just, I wanted to give an example. When there's no light, we can really see some crazy stuff. So similarly, when there's no light of Krishna consciousness, the reality is dispatched. It's not real. So this we see on this example of Hiranyakashipu and Sanda and Amarka, that they feel the need to fix Prahlad where actually it's them that needs to be fixed. Yes, so Prahlad Maharaj, he's 5 years old boy, and everyone around him has this demonic consciousness. He is the only one fixed at Krishna's lotus feet. So this is the power of the saintly association that he have received for 9 months when he was in the womb of his mother. And babies, in Poland, we have this saying that, I don't know, I don't think there's equivalent in English, or maybe something similar, but basically it's talk about that children, they are like a sponge. So what they, and you know, when you have the sponge, right now they also those like miracle sponges that can soak like unbelievable amount of water or something like that. So children are like this, they take like a sponge, they soak everything in those early age, and sometimes this happened for many years, even not just like when they are like, you know, toddlers, but even later on. And it may manifest later. So sometimes, I don't know if you had this, but often there's this phase that we like rebel against everything that we learn like in our parental house. Like we think, oh, our parents are this and this, and we may really complain. But then later on, we see that we follow the same patterns. Just this upbringing is very, very strong. And often if upbringing was good, parents were caring, then we see actually how much value it was in how they raise us. So when we come to Krishna consciousness, although we might be, you know, adults, and we might be, you know, mature, we might be in our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, different ages, but we are still babies when it comes to Krishna consciousness. So that means that we are like a sponge. We are so eager, like those babies are eager to receive anything. We are so eager, and how we surround ourselves, by what association we surround ourselves, by what knowledge, by what experience and wisdom, that will basically structure and create future of our Krishna consciousness. If we come to Krishna consciousness and somehow we have beginning that is very spaced out, and our association is not a quality association of devotees, then we basically are painting or paving the path how our future of Krishna consciousness will unfold. We will maintain the same mood. It will be very much more challenging to transition. So it's important that in the beginning we really make sure that we have the best of the best when we are just building those foundational blocks of our Krishna consciousness. You probably heard the saying that we are average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So we can, examine our association. Like, what are the 5 people that we spend the most time with? Basically, whom we associate that would rub on us. That's why I'm saying that if someone is not an alcoholic, but if he would associate with alcoholics, then it's a question of time when he will actually be tempted to do it. And this little temptation may turn to lifelong habit that would be a total destruction for himself and people around him. So it's very important that also in Krishna consciousness, we associate with devotees that we can wrap from them a good qualities that will elevate us. I also heard a saying that was quite interesting, that says that don't join an easy crowd. Go where expectations are high. Why is that? Because if we associate or surround ourselves with the devotees who are not, who don't have discipline, who don't have goals, who are just like living day to day, we will basically maintain the same level for ourselves. It will be very difficult to be inspired. That's why if when we go to some, like a huge gathering of devotees, let's say like sadhu sangha, or, you know, when there's like a lot of devotees. I remember I spoke with Divya some time ago, and she was sharing how going to those events is so uplifting and so nourishing, and we all have experience on a smaller or bigger scale. Why is that? Because when we go to those events, to those amazing sadhu sangha, where there's a lot of devotees focus on up-leveling their Krishna consciousness, that also lifts us up. So similarly, you know, on our daily basis, if we stick to devotees who have high standard, they are disciplined, they have goals, and they are always contemplating how we can become a better servant of the servant, how we can improve our service, how we can deepen our association with the holy name, how relationship with the holy name, how we can improve our study, then naturally we will, willingly or unknowingly, that's gonna rub on us, and we also gonna acquire those qualities, acquire this attitude. Like, I have to honestly tell you, I really have such a hard time to keep up with my husband because he is like all the time, like his goals and ambitions are so high. So, but I see it's rubbing on me, you know. I changed. I have to say, I was really transformed in his association, and I'm so grateful, because I was like this, you know, space out and like really, you know, based on like do what feels right, but not so much disciplined person. But I see that years and years of this purifying association, it is changing me. So this is true for each of us, and not only in spiritual life, but, you know, many even modern, like, let's say, thinkers, they discover this as well. So the good question is to ask ourselves when we examine our association is the question, like, who am I becoming because of this person, like because of this particular devotee that I'm associating? Like, am I becoming a better person? Am I becoming more disciplined, or I'm becoming more lazy, more like space out? Am I becoming more positive or more negative? Like, if I associate with this particular devotee, am I more inclined to glorify devotees, or am I more inclined to criticize devotees? Am I more inclined to step up and keep improve my sadhana? I am more inspired to actually lay back and just take things, you know, and more relax. So those are the questions. It's very good to ask when we choose our association. And association basically shapes our destiny. And this is the point that is over and over. We see this through Bhagavad Gita, through Srimad Bhagavatam, in classes of so many holy persons. They just repeat this, the power of association, the power of sadhu sangha. Srila Prabhupada mentioned that, you know, if we know that if someone thinks they can make a spiritual progress alone, they suffer on hallucination. Association of devotees is everything what we have, basically. Without association, there's no really hope for us. But it's not just association, it has to be the right association, because we may have association and it may not contribute to our progress in Krishna consciousness. So it is very, very important. And there's also another important side of association that I want to talk about, because in example of Prahlad Maharaj, as I mentioned, that he was the only one Krishna conscious there. Of course, eventually he will also, his schoolmates will also rub some on them, and they will also experience the change of heart. But at this point, he's like the only one there. But he is a pure devotee of the Lord. He is strong. So the association, he actually is giving association. He's so strong and so fixed at Krishna's lotus feet that he is not taking this bad association, although he is surrounded by it basically 24/7. He is on such a high level that he can withhold himself, like, like a tortoise would withdraw his limbs. So Prahlad Maharaj, he's untouched, he's not affected, and rather the others are affected. Like even teachers, they treat him gently. Of course, they have a reason why, but he is just his sweet association, his sweet kind nature. It has effect on others, except for his father, which of course will really disturb him much. But now coming back to our level. So when we don't have this uplifting association, what we are left with? It's very close to you. It's right here. We are left with the mind. We are left with the mind. And in Bhagavad Gita also Krishna mentioned that the mind can be our best friend and also the worst enemy. But to make the mind best friend, it's a journey. It takes a lot of work. So when we are not on that level yet, the mind would often trick us it will be a very bad association for us, would trick us, because when mind is uncontrolled, he will create fear, he will exaggerate the problems, he will create dramas, he will just help us to see the situation not as it is, but rather not as it is. I don't know if that makes sense what I have said. So the mind will actually be our worst enemy. And it just like, I can really relate to it because I had some business thing to take care of this morning with one of our business partner that is in Belarus. So I was rushing then to come to give this class, and then I didn't have chance to clean my glasses. So basically they are a little like not foggy, but they are not as clean as I would love them to see. So similarly, the mind would create this foggy vision. And this is also how Maya is trying to trick us as well, that Maya wants to take us from association of the devotees. Maya wants us to be separate because then they are weaker. We are weaker, and the Maya can utilize a tool like our own minds to really trick us into criticizing, committing offenses, just not seeing the reality as it is. And the mind, when we are just alone with the mind, it would be such a loud voice. It would just like, it will overpower us. So that's why it's important the mind is purified by the knowledge, by experience, but also by association. Association of devotees are our security guards. I was speaking with Madhupan Leela during Thanksgiving, and by the way, that was such a beautiful gathering of devotees. Thank you so much for everyone who was behind organizing this. But she was telling me how we were talking about security jobs, being a security, and how actually it's dangerous right now. Some long time ago, when we were trying to establish our feet in Las Vegas, when we first arrived with my husband there by request of devotees to start a center there, we were still on a religious visa, so we couldn't work. But later, we had our, green card, and then there was some short time that my husband actually worked as a security, and at that time it was such a relaxed job. He would just go to chin his japa, so many rounds, because there was like nothing happening. But right now, with all the shooting at the schools and violence, security job is actually an extremely dangerous job. It's almost like being a police officer, or even like it's a dangerous job. It's not such a relaxed and easy to go job. So yes, but the goal of security is to protect us. So the devotee association, those are our guards, our security guards, to protect us not only from influence of Maya, bad association, but also from the crazy thing that is right here between our ears. It's in our own mind. So that's what happened also to Prahlad Maharaj, that this, you can say, like a secret association that he had with Narada Muni, his spiritual master, created this protective shield for him and purified his heart, and basically he became pure devotee, pure devotee of the Lord. Okay. So we also need association of each other to become stronger, because there are different levels of devotees, and the beginning level is Kanishta Adhikari. And Kanishta Adhikari is a devotee who actually his faith is so weak that he can be easily deviated by the strong opposite arguments. So just like Bhakti Lata, a little creeper of Bhakti, in the beginning it needs support. If I'm pretty sure that each of you had an experience of some sort of gardening, planting something, at least seeing something. So when there's like a young tree that is growing, or young plant, or whatever it is, it needs a lot of support, not only through proper conditioning around light and water and so on, but also often you need to put a little, like a stick next to it, to make sure that it goes straight and is properly supported and so on. So similarly in our bhakti, in the beginning, we are weak and we don't understand properly like what is actually spiritual, what is not, how to behave. So devotees can guide us. So we're coming back to this important point that has been repeated so often recently about the bhakti is a guidance culture. I remember when something fun I want to share, and I will conclude because I want to leave time for questions and realization on the topic of association. I would love to hear from each of you. But in the beginning, when I joined Krishna consciousness, I didn't have much guidance, because in my city, we didn't, at least for some time, I was not aware that devotees would gather together. Nobody told me this. I was just trying to kind of practice myself. And even when I start to come to those weekly gatherings, devotees who were there, they were also not initiated devotees. They were little, more senior, like they were more in Krishna consciousness, but they also were learning themselves. So I was, and my husband, who was at the time in charge of Namhata preaching in entire Poland, he would come and visit us, but that was only that that many months, because he had so many places that he had to go. So we kind of had to figure out things our own. And I started to chant, I was reading, but without guidance and proper association, I was interpreting a lot of things. So my definition of spiritual was that spiritual is like, you read, you chant, and like that, basically that's what means spiritual. Everything else, all other activities, they are material. And I remember I caused so much trouble to my parents in the beginning. To the point that I even refused to take the garbage out, because I said, no, this is material. I'm not doing material things anymore. I'm only doing spiritual activities. So yeah, I hope they don't remember this, but I think they do. So yeah, I did a lot of crazy things like that, because my spiritual vision was very foggy. It was actually not correct. Yeah, so when our vision becomes clear due to association and knowledge, and of course chanting, reading, and all of those aspects of bhakti, then we can start see things as it is. And when we become stronger and stronger, then we can also distinguish and choose the right association of devotees. And it's okay to give up some association. It's really okay. That's also a recommendation in the Nectar of Instruction, that we can, the association that is not favorable, that actually put us down, that it's not inspiring, then we can just say no to it in a nice way. We can respect those devotees from the distance, but we don't have to associate with everyone. We have intelligence to discriminate, to select, and we can use this proper propensity in Krishna consciousness. So it's totally fine. it's actually not only fine, but it's an important aspect of our bhakti to decide, okay, this association, it doesn't inspire me. Hare Krishna, but no, thank you. And this association, yes, please, Prabhu, how can I be more in your association? So that's very important. And then in this way, we will be gradually able to take this, to turn night into light and darkness into awareness. So thank you so much, dear devotees, for your attention. I would like to open this for any questions, realization. This is such an important topic of association, selecting the right association. So if you have any realization, any practical tools you would like to share, how you're personally implementing this in your life, please kindly unmute yourself. Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for a nice class.
Thank you.
For expressing a little bit about, I guess, your personal experiences. It was very enlivening to hear. And, some practical examples of, what we do on a day-to-day basis. So thank you for a nice class. And I guess one point maybe we can discuss further is, yes, definitely we don't want to take, association that might not be uplifting. But I guess maybe one thing we need to consider is according to whose perspective. Otherwise, we may run the risk of isolating everybody else because nobody is good enough except for me and my guru. And of course, we're not getting so much association there. We think we're getting association. Of course, guru's Vani is there, hearing, but again, that's subject to interpretation sometimes. So as much as we want to, not take association, we can find, if I'm, for example, just very critical, of devotees in general, just have this critical mentality, then no matter where I try to associate, I'm going to find that, oh, that person criticizes me. Okay, I shouldn't take his association. Oh, that person criticizes me. I don't take association. I don't want to take association. As a result, I just go on being critical. I'm not, getting any good qualities. There might be a few good devotees who set a high standard, but sometimes it might be a challenge for me to take their association as well. And so because I don't feel good around them, I feel I don't want the association as well because, they're always talking Krishna Katha. And, I want always somebody to justify my viewpoints. Sometimes I've heard, as devotees, we do this. And I'm trying to think, I probably have done it many, many times, but I can't get an example right now, that I will consult on a particular thing that's troubling me. But for example, I'll come to you and Surapal Prabhu and, ask my question. And if I don't like your answer, I say, thank you very much. Haribol Mataji. Yes, very cordially, very nicely, very nice way. Thank you very much. And then I'll go to the next devotees and I'll say, yes, Prabhu, here's my question. And I don't like the answer. So I'm going looking for the right answer. But I'm not actually looking for the right answer. I'm looking for somebody to agree with me and my bad answer, which 99.999% of the time it is. So, we just need to have, I think your class was nicely balanced and presented, that we need to be mindful also of that. So just something I thought about.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your comment because it's important that we are, as a devotees, we are merciful, right? That's one of the qualities of devotees, that devotee is merciful. So like we see in the example of Prahlad Maharaj, that although he was fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness and he was not a separatist. Like, he didn't go to the cave and spend all day in cave. He actually was going to school, you know, associating with family members and doing all the royal or whatever duties. He learning the thing and probably practicing martial arts. I don't, you know, like all the skills that he needs to have as a future king. But he was able to do it because of how advanced he was. So again, he was not affected. So the association is two-way street, right? The devotees are merciful and we want to uplift everyone else around us, but not at the cost of our own spiritual progress. So we need to use our intelligence, use our brain to distinguish, okay, how far I can go. Because if I go too far, I will drown together with this person and we will be in this pool together, criticizing everyone around and just pulling ourselves down. And I remember one time, I cannot quote this exactly, so maybe but I think I can recall my Guru Maharaj talking about that. First we have to save ourselves, but he was using, I guess, some different examples that if we are not strong enough, it's okay to not associate with those who will put us down. If we get stronger, then we can extend our compassion to those and try to uplift them. But at the same time, it's two-way street. If someone is not open for help, like you gave example of yourself asking the same question until you find the answer you're really looking for, and you say, oh yeah, see, I knew this is the way how we should do it. Then that may not work. This also requires maturity to be prepared for the answers that may be totally different. And we may not understand this in the beginning. Why is this like this? And it may be hard and maybe challenging to accept this. But if we can pause and like, okay, I'm not sure why, even from our own, you know, like not only leaders, but even from our Guru Maharaj, sometimes we may get an answer that is like, whoa, like total shock, not what we expected. And we often may want to like feel like, oh, he doesn't understand me. Maybe I should ask again. Maybe I should share more details, you know, just so he can actually give me the answer I'm looking for, right? But if we pause ourselves and then say, okay, I may not understand why, and it's like hard for me to accept, but let me just like you know, in a secular word they would say like, let me sit on it or let me sleep on it, you know, like let me just pause and see how that would unfold. And also we can also always ask other devotees like how I'm supposed to understand this, you know, in my situation and things like that. So I just want to mention that we are not like trying to reject anyone. Okay, no, you know, no, and then we are just like, there's no one to associate. No, we are not like this, but we have to be very protective of our own spiritual bhakti, very protective, because Maya is so strong and may come in many, many different forms. And if we are not strong, if our Krishna consciousness is failing, how we would be able to help others. So just like if somebody is sick, right? Let's say somebody is flu, and then he also knows about other, let's say, family members who are suffering flu at the same time. It won't be smart for this person to go around and try to like help them because he's not strong enough. He needs to heal himself first, and then he can help others. So I really appreciate this point very much. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share something? Add questions, comments? We have about 3 minutes or so. All right. If there are no any other questions, I will conclude the class today so devotees in the temple can have time to set up everything nicely for deity greeting. So thank you so much. Thank you for your attention. Hare Krishna.